Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about how to create better relationships using feminine energy way. All right, I will speak about why you might have relationship issues in the first place and what you can do to change that. I'll give you two practical tips that you can apply right away. My intention for you is that whatever comes through me will create a shift for you in the way you see and perceive the world, to be more conscious and have a greater capacity to create your life experiences. My name is Barchi. If you need support, please check how to work with me. The link is in the description box down below. What comes to your mind when I say relationship issues? You might imagine that you're triggered by someone for whatever reason. Would you say that for the most part, you're being triggered by someone is more related to your story than the other person? And just me saying that might be triggering, right? But hear me out, because my intention for you is to free yourself. For that, you need to know that majority of your triggers come from the subconscious mind. That means that you don't have a conscious awareness as to why something is triggering for you. It just is. Would you agree with that? The majority of subconscious limiting beliefs you developed was by the time you were 7 years old. And let me give you an example on how this might show up. Think of a person that you find repelling. You don't like them. But maybe you have a friend that actually really likes that person. And maybe they get on really well, quite nicely with them. So I want you to stop and just think for a moment. So the same person mirrors two different stories into the world, which makes you think, what is actually the true version of that person? So the question could also be, what truth do you want to hold on to? But let me give you two tips on how to go about it. So the first one, I want you to step more into being, a feminine way of shifting the energy rather than doing. So, first of all, this one is very hard for me, but knowing that nothing is really personal, but letting it in your life is your personal decision. The sooner you realize that, the sooner you will see that you create your experiences. And not just that, you have all the power in your life, over your life. And that by itself, I find it's really free. So, my invitation for you is to view your patterns. And what I mean by that is where you are a constant, or the constant, I should say, in the picture with only outside actors changing. So, you are always there, but there are always just these outside circumstances that are changing. So, when that is happening, know that chances are there is a pattern at place. And this is actually a good sign, because then we can work with it. You can work with it, right? And when you see that, please be kind to yourself, because that is, we also have those. So now, know that this pattern is only here to keep you alive. And you can even ask yourself, what am I actually getting from it? Like, what is it giving me? And I invite you just to be in silence and listen without any judgment or without wanting to change it. but just have curiosity and compassion for it. Because as I said, this pattern is there to keep you alive, even though it might not be working at all. Here is the second, even more important step. Ask yourself, if this pattern wasn't present in your life, who would you be? How would you show up in your life? How would you treat yourself and other people without that pattern, whatever that is? And if that still doesn't give you, this whole motivation, like, oh, let's say your pattern is that you're always upset if someone brings something up. And that might become part of your identity, right? Usually, this is how we are. We confuse our patterns with our identity. That's not the same thing, obviously. But what I want you to think now, or invite you rather, is what is it that you would like to experience? Because it's important to focus on the things that you want more of rather than things that are not working. And it's not to say that we diminish it and that we ignore what's not working. It's not about that. It's important to have self awareness, but then it's important what we want to cultivate more of. So I'll give you an example. Say that you would like to have conversations that bring you more joy with your significant other or any person really. So for the next 2 weeks, notice each time when something brings you joy in the conversation. So just notice it and make this mental note or feel it in your body. But it's really important that you acknowledge it when it's there. And that by itself is super simple way to create more of that. So I really invite you to try it out. So first of all, apply self-awareness. Check which patterns or I pattern, start just with one, is active in your life. And then change it. Who would you be without it? And what do you actually want to experience? Try it out and tell me, how do you wish to feel and what are you going to choose? And you can write it down in the chat box. I would love to know more. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.